Is this working? It is. Let me turn this off. Now, guys, for some reason my DJI mic is doing crazy crap and there's yellow lights come on and it's not working right. So I'm using one of the overhead camera microphones, so hopefully it comes out okay. Let me know. That's better. It might be a little bit echoey compared to normal, but let's go with it. So where are we at? We have a Delta Flyer that we're putting together, and yeah, I think things are going okay so far. Let me turn this overhead light on to make it a little bit brighter. Where we got up to last week was I was getting really annoyed with the lack of any sort of part sorter that doesn't come with the LDO kit. So I put everything into a big box. Don't lose anything, Bill. So I put everything into a part sorting box to make life simple. I know what's going on, so let me just do some fixing up. Properties. Cancel. Cancel. I put everything into a part sorting box to make life simple. There we go. Now you're matching the same direction as me. So I put all the parts that are loose into here. That also meant that I could find the missing grub screws for the motors, so we can put those in. And everything is much more convenient to find and do now. That's where the magnets are. And we're going to need a whole lot of those today. So let's put those in that own little thingy. And yeah, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to catch up in terms of the stepper motors. We are going to put the tiny little grub screws into the motors and get all that caught up. Then we'll finish putting together pylon Z, and we're going to put all the rails on, which is going to involve lots of grease and lots of gooey stuff, and I'm probably going to make a huge mess, but we'll get there. How is the audio? Is the audio any good? Part sorters make John Doe's brain happy. Kenrog Creations is here. Welcome, Kenrog. Hopefully you can tell me when I'm doing crap wrong. That'll be good. Mad Dog Jeff is here as usual. Brad's here. Stacking Les has made it. Stacking Les is another one of the testers that I work alongside when we make Big Tree Tech's life hard. Raj is here because it's actually a decent time for him now. Oh no, it's Mike. Penguin's here. Basically all the usual suspects are here except Repo. So I assume he'll come along and start heckling later. And we can go from there. Oh, Nick's missing as well, but I'm sure he'll find us. I normally spend 10 minutes just before stream getting everything nice and tidy and sorted out. And yeah, that's not happening because the audio did strange things. Piled is here. I think you're new here, Piled. Welcome. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe and all that YouTuber stuff that everybody always says. That is all there. I'm just going to warm up the stealth press while we wait, so that we can start doing any pizza inserts I haven't done yet. And yeah. So, first thing I'm going to do is play catch up. I need to disable the AI on that camera again. So what's happened, guys, is there's been a big update on the OBSBot software, and it's done strange things, including, for some reason, it affects the DJI mic. And just in case you can see it looking off screen, I am in my Aussie safety boots because it's the middle of the night here, and what temperature is it outside? It's 30 degrees. So 30 degrees C, that is, not Fahrenheit for you Americans. So it's on the way to build plate PLA temperatures, and yeah, it's the middle of the night. It's 3 a.m. here. So first things first, let's quickly whiz off this motor, and we'll put the grub screws in. Let's go to that pylon for now. I'm going to call them pylons. It's good. I'm sure Kenrod can correct me if there's a real name for it. 14 watching. Awesome. Can I please get 14 likes? That would be amazing. Coffee mug is missing a logo. Now, I'm going to admit something here, guys. At this time in the morning, my brain's not firing on all cylinders. Not that it often does, even in the middle of the day. But I just made an entire cup of coffee into the coffee dredge jug that's used for the machine rinsing itself. So yeah, I was off to a good start this morning. So I'm just going to very carefully rotate this around without rotating the shaft of the stepper motor until I find the flat spot. So for those of you who don't know, let me pull this apart. On the stepper motors, there's a flat side. There you go, you can see the edge there. So you want to align it so that one of the grub screws is against the flat side and the other flat screw is against the round side of the shaft, because that helps keep them concentric. And it also provides something to bite on so that it turns easier. You call them towers. Whatever floats your boat. That's awesome. As long as I'm not upsetting anybody. Kenrog is entitled to mental health breaks just like everybody else, John Doe. Unfortunately, I can't disable the AI zooming while I'm on stream. Now, I remember from the instruction manual's details previously that I need to leave these just enough tight that it won't turn on the shaft without a little bit of assistance. Now, some of you will remember that last stream I mentioned that I really wasn't a fan of the lack of contrast on the instruction manual, and Kenrog has said on a previous stream and chat to me that they are working on that. Now, for those OCD people, I was making sure that all the motors were turned the same way, because I know that matters to people. So let's put that back. No, let's put that one in the right way. So how's everybody's week been? How's the Delta Fly been so far? The kit is much better. The LDO kit has been much better than the Box Turtle LDO kit that I got. That's my major takeaway. The Box Turtle kit I got seemed like it was put together last thing at the end of a shift from all the dregs of the parts that they thought didn't make spec for all the other kits they put together. So that's an improvement. And like I said, LDO need to do a part sorter. A bunch of the other manufacturers do. I mean, my first boron kit was the Magic Phoenix, which basically gets all the LDO parts that they actually need and cheaps out on some of the stuff that they don't. But cheaping out is not really fair. They don't spend the extra money if they don't have to on LDO, or like the functional parts of LDO. Like that driver doesn't fit quite right. And for those of you who may have missed last week's stream, I decided that I'm going to go with the 8-channel Core 1 version of Index. So that's going on the Core 1. And I'm just waiting for the invoice to come from our good friends at Bondtech. Pay for that. Again, I'm just finding the flat spot on the shaft. There we go. That doesn't feel right. There we go. I turned it just enough that I'd found the edge of the flat spot, not the flat spot. Throw all the hardware in a giant pile and root around like a heathen. That's my preferred method for Lego Tech, if I'm honest. Those of you who were here last stream know that I started building lots and lots of Lego with my daughter. And yeah, I used to prefer that to this new spoon feed you the build kind of way that they do it now, where every part has its own, almost, well, it feels like almost every part has its own little bag, and it's all sorted for you. There's just no challenge to the build anymore. It used to be part of the fun, and part of the entertainment was actually finding the parts, and that's kind of gone away now. I understand why they might have done it. It is dumbing it down a bit, especially on Lego Technic kits. Jex is here. Hi, Jex. Yeah, I did enjoy building my Cyborg V0, Patrick. Making sure these are all one ugga-dugga tight. Right, so the only other thing we're missing is the rails, which we'll get to shortly. Let's pull this apart. Okay, so good thing is, because of the way we had to leave things time-wise last week, it means that people catching this stream will get to see a whole pylon being put together from scratch, because that's where we got up to. So on the, is it the, I always get it confused. I think this is the lower part. That's where the motor goes. Some parts on deltas are all upside down. Now, this is something that gets me about LDO. That all went together amazingly easily. Like, everything was a very nice fit. Then you get to this one, and this is what I would describe as an interference fit. The very end of this shaft is ever so slightly wider than the others. And it's only the end of the shaft, because once it's on, it fits nicely. And we have a Nick in the house at last. Now, Nick very graciously this week sent me 2 of his 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 the code for a Polymaker spool. That's all on order. Thank you, Nick. Okay, so let me just demonstrate. Hopefully on there you can make out that there's a flat surface. That flat surface is aligned with that grub screw. At the moment it's set up so that there's no way that the screw the pulley can actually turn on the shaft. The shaft has to rotate with it, but I can still slide it in and out just enough to make any adjustments that I need to. Now, again, the very tip of the shaft, it doesn't have any burrs on it. I went around and checked. It's just that little bit too wide. So that is what I would describe as an interference fit. And it's only this one motor that has it. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to do it this way, but what I've been doing is relying on the tightening the screws to push the bearing into its final position on the shaft. And I've been doing a cross screw method to make sure that I don't push it out of alignment. Now, I'm just going to change my view here on my screen because I was seeing me about 8 seconds delayed, and it's really, really off-putting. Nobody wants to see me except you guys. Icon's here. Hi, Icon. A break from work. Awesome. Don't forget to leave a like. I know you've already subscribed because you're a legend. So that's finger tights. Now, there's one thing I've noticed about the way this works. The noise cancellation isn't quite as good on the overhead mics, but hopefully everything's good enough for you guys. So we've now got the motor half built. We now need to put together the other part. Now, we do have a sensor we need to install, which should be in the electronics boxes. There we go. Now, based on my usual build speed, I reckon we're probably going to get to the point where we've got pretty much all the hardware installed, and then we're going to have to do software and first boot next week. But such is life. Now, I need to quickly double check a couple of things. M3 by 10, 6, 8, 10. Let me just show you that again for how I make this work. 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, I think it was 20, and then 30. How easy is that compared to routing through 10 million bags? M3 by 10. So I need 2 of these. And it's an M5 by 16. It's one of these, I think. double check. Yeah, M5 by 16. And that goes in there, and that goes in there. Now, I got asked last week after the stream by somebody in DM. You can't easily see it here. You can sort of make it out. There's actually a built-in shim. So the printed part actually has a tiny shim built into it that keeps the body of the idler off the walls. I did try and talk about that last week, but I didn't actually show it, so I figured I would this week. Your partner just ordered you to buy a Lego kit, Penguin. And I'm just feeling for the pinch. It's there. So we've got our idler in. Next we put our sensor in, and I'm going to make this match on all of them, so that goes that way. Put that one away because I don't need it. It comes with a free Penguin. Well, that's automatically why you would order it. Because I've been doing lots and lots of looking to find various Lego kits suitable for Minimaker, all of a sudden my Facebook ads have started showing me Lumi bricks and all of the other knockoff ones. And they're going, we're cheaper than Lego, we're cheaper than Lego. They're not. It's kind of annoying that they make these claims. Maybe for some markets they are, but certainly in Australia they're not cheaper. Always a good day when you're commanded to buy toys. Depends what the toys are. My 2-year-old has currently got to the Paw Patrol stage. Paw Patrol, for those of you who are fortunate enough to not know what they are these dogs that are anthropomorphized. And the cartoon that goes along with them is designed specifically to make toddlers go absolutely mental. So, scrolling back up and up and up, down, down, down. Just trying to find the fasteners size for the rail. M5 by 10s. Okay, I should probably put that on the screen for you guys too, shouldn't I? Sorry, just making an update to, there we go. So now you guys can see what I see on the destruction manual. It's weird, my third screen is a big screen TV and it turned off. You're like, why does filming 3 screens? The reason I have 3 screens is 2 screens for doing all of this and a third screen that I can put things on to project to you guys if I need to. It might sound weird, but sometimes it's easier and faster, rather than selecting lots and lots of sources, to just show you what is going on a particular screen. And having that extra screen to do that on, rather than clog up everything else, makes life so much simpler. Now, this was a trick we found last time, was to put the innermost T-nut on first, so you can still got room for your fingers. Because you want to have it just biting onto the threads, so there's enough room for it to slide onto the extrusion. So you've seen the destruction manual for a minute. You've had a chance to have a look. Even with all these screens, I'm still my pop-out chat, which is the easiest way to see chat and be as close to live with the chat as possible. Yeah, I still need to work out how to manage that better. Mike's listening to it on his way home, which is awesome because he's actually finished. Jeff watches Paw Patrol without the kids. Jeff's ADHD brain goes ping every time he puts that on. That show leaves me very overstimulated, and imagine what it's doing to a 2-year-old. So I've started very carefully limiting how much Paw Patrol he gets to watch. Now, like I mentioned last stream, there's a trick with these hammerhead T-nuts. Hopefully I can show you on stream if I hold this in the right angle. You can see the very end of it in the extrusion there. And if you flick, then you manage to get it to rotate. Now, the other way you can do it is to put a tiny bit of Loctite or similar. Oh, the screws are in there, Phil. Tiny bit of Loctite or similar on the thread, and that will also allow you to get a little bit more purchase on the T-nut. So 1, 2, 3, flick. Now, it's not been as scorching hot here as it was a couple of weeks ago, so the flies are back. We're fortunate where I am that quite regularly it gets so hot that it kills off most of the flies, but the flies are back and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I just realized I've done all this work and I forgot to put the heat sets in. On this one, it shouldn't be an issue. So let's get that done. I put all the heat sets in here. Here's a stealth press I prepared earlier. There we go. Alex, Projects in Dad's Garage, has made it. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to his channel, go for it. Same with Penguin Makers. Both are top guys. I'm not going to shout out RJ Repo Man if he can't be bothered to turn up for my streams. I'm joking, guys. We all love RJ. So the reason I use a steel ruler is twofold. Number one, it helps make sure that the heat set is actually flush with the surface. And number two, it sucks all the heat out of the heat set fitting. And that means that it sets in place faster. For some reason, we have Penguin. So Alex is dizzy. Captain Kern Raid can't stay just popping into Sade. Hi. Hi, Heidel. We have Cody here as well. Thanks, Captain. If you did a full-on automated raid, that's amazing. Thank you very much. So that's all in place. We've got those heat sets in place. Now, I'm going to quickly use my previously done parts as a reference, that way around. Just push heat set in until you see the plastic mushroom up around the sides. Nah. Gotta do it the right way, dude. Now, for those of you who are new, I teach science and engineering at a high school level, or what some Americans call junior and high school level. So there is a chance that some of my students will drop into streams at some stage, even though I don't make it known. And this is what happens when John Doe starts heckling me. That heat set is nowhere near right. Thanks, John. Can you see what's happened? I missed. And that might be a write-off. I'm not even going to try with that heat set. That might be a bit finer. Now, hopefully you, when you're building your Delta Fires, will be not as distracted as I am, because I'm trying to keep up with chat as well as do all this. There we go. Now I know I'm supposed to press the heat set press all the way down. I was just doing that to make sure that that was vaguely in the right spot, and we're just going to hope. So it's there. It's now very close to where it should be. Let's just hope it's reasonably parallel, because there's no way I could actually fix that at this point. So that's all in, and there appears to be a heat set that needs to go here. And that's it. Okay. I'm going to put that to the side for a second, and that side for a second. And we're going to play catch up on some of the other heat sets while we're doing this. So if you're using this as a kind of a build guide, good luck. What are we looking at here? To those that try metal ruler to put the heat set, make sure you don't burn your fingers as it gets very hot. Been there, done that. I do it on stream all the time. I just sit here and stand here and bite my lip so I don't scream. No, never. I'm a professional streamer. Hashtag pro streamer penguin. I'm just going to quickly double check the manual. Here we go. So we need 3 heat sets in that one. And so 3 heat sets in that face and 4 heat sets in the other face. We can do that. One. Going. I can see what the problem is down on the maker. You're using your left hand to push stuff up. Dude, lefties are genetically superior. It's you righties who are not evolved enough yet. It's the same with the coriander debate. Those of us who are opposed to coriander are genetically superior. Coriander is cilantro for Americans. The first time my wife ever served me coriander slash, ow, just burned myself, coriander slash cilantro, I spat it out and went, what have you done to me? It tastes like dish soap. And she was all confused and irritated at me because I said her dinner was crap and she couldn't taste the so-called dish soap. And then we did a little bit of research and found out what was going on. Now, Kegel, I used to be ambidextrous, but let's do that one because I said her dinner was. I'm like any other good engineering teacher. I have a crushed thumb, and then we did a little bit of research. That not from an actual working accident. That was done at high school. Now, I don't know about the US, but here in Australia and in the UK, they have these very particular kind of woodworking benches at school. And they have this kind of vise built into the benches that has a little mechanical lever on it to allow you to slide the vise in and out without having to wind the thread. Really handy, especially if you're setting up big work that you have to clamp together. So you flick the lever and then the whole vise slides in and out. The particular mechanism on this desk had jammed up. I had nothing to do with what was going on. I was just sitting on the bench at the end of class talking to somebody, and I just happened to have my hand over the edge of the bench like this, just leaning back. And one of my fellow students decided that he'd had enough of this vise not working. He took it with a big hammer without noticing that my thumb was still there. So he belted it, the whole thing slid shut and crushed my thumb pretty convincingly. So that was fun. Well, that's by far my one of my least annoying, one of the least destructive injuries I've seen at school. Should we go there? Should we start talking about that kind of stuff? In the US, cutting off 2.5 fingers is your shop teacher starting it. I've seen it. Tasmanian Devil did it. on at least 3 occasions, none of them have been in my class. Well, none have been in my classes that I'm teaching. Students have been using bandsaws, and here's the blade, and kept on going. How I managed it, no idea. And then there was my friend Greg. Shout out to Greg if he ever watches this video. He'll know who he is. He was using something called a magna bender. Basically, a big table with a big electromagnet built into the base of it. You can turn on the electromagnet, and it will then hold your work in place, and you put a big cast iron block on the top. So it's really magnetic. So you get your piece of work, you put your metal block on it, you turn on the magnet to hold it all in place, and then there was this arm you could bend over, and it would actually bend the work around the edge of the desk for you. Him and some of his friends were mucking about and doing silly games. Greg decided he was going to go back to doing his work, and one of his other friends turned the power on while he was putting the big cast iron block into place, and his thumbs end at the knuckle now. It didn't bleed apparently because it just sealed it shut. Captain Kern, welcome, my friend. Hit the like button for me, dude. I know you know that it makes a big difference. So what we're doing, Captain, at the moment is we're just playing catch up and getting all of our housekeeping in order with the remaining heat sets. And we're talking about school-based injuries. And my own personal injury that was is far less obvious. And I know Alex is just about to chat. You mean the brain injury, Phil? Into chat, aren't you, Alex? I was arc welding, and I was new to Australia, having just moved here from the UK, and I'd already done welding at school in the UK. But the teacher here, he refused to believe that I was any good at welding, because as far as he was concerned, I hadn't done it before. And I'd actually done the most kick-ass welding job using arc welder that I will ever do. Everything was even, everything had full penetration. It was an amazing weld. He didn't believe it. It's like, there's no way somebody can do a weld that good on their first attempt, because as far as he was concerned, it was my first attempt. So before it's had time to properly cool, he starts belting it with a hammer. Now, when you're doing arc welding, old school stick welding, there's a crust that builds up over the weld to kind of protect it while it cools, to prevent the joint oxidizing while it cools. And that came off, and there was still a little bit of molten metal underneath it because it was such a deep penetration weld. And that molten metal ended up flicking off the bench onto the top of my shoe, where it burned right through the top and into the top of my foot. Now, I knew I was in trouble pretty quickly because it stopped hurting. So I flicked my shoe off, and in the process of flicking my shoe off, I could see the damage, and I could see the metal still on the top of my foot. So I flicked my foot, and the molten metal went straight between two girls having a conversation at a desk and stuck to a fire extinguisher. So have I finished grossing you all out yet? Being a carpenter, I don't trust those I've seen too many cards. I can't say I've ever seen the Weird Al show. Sure. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Shrimp Daddy! Everybody say hi, Martin. Here we go. We'll have the Martin with a million exclamation marks. So Martin, where we're up to is we're just playing catch up. I'm putting all the heat sets into the parts we didn't bother with last week. And we've put together most of the third pylon. Now, the beauty of Kenrog and the other guys not having 100% finished the manual for this thing is I can use that as an excuse for jumping backwards and forwards in my usual style and say it's perfectly legit. So, these parts also need 4. No. 2 out of 3 of these parts already have the top surface heat sets in. It's just these side surface heat sets that need to go into it. And on the third one, we'll get to do those other ones as well. Now, having done both sides of the camera in terms of woodshop, metal shop engineering kind of stuff, I can tell you as a teacher, it doesn't matter how hard you try, how much you prep, how much you instill into students, they are still going to do dumb crap. I had a student who had done lots and lots of soldering right in front of me for the last 30-odd minutes. To the point where I was quite happy that that student could solder SMD, surface mount components, quite happily. Even through, well, they were actually doing through hole, but this student was good, could have done SMD. The gear we had was good enough to do that. So they were practicing with some really tiny stuff. Turned my back for 2 or 3 minutes to another student who already was very used to soldering, and just to check their work. And one of the other students goes, "Sir, they've burnt their hand." And I quote, "I wanted to see if it was hot. They grabbed the wrong end of the iron." I was new to that school. I was sure I was going to get fired. So this is the one we need to put the extra heat sets into. Me and other students who were Boy Scouts helped him, and we managed to get thumb in a bag. Oh. I've never had any amputations I've had to deal with directly. I have dived in and helped other teachers after they've had a major incident in their classroom. So basically, they take the kid off to the school nurse or in the ambulance or whatever, and I babysit the class, get everything tidied up. If you smell fried chicken, you're holding it wrong. Yeah, there is something to that whole smells and tastes like chicken thing, apparently. His son took his stuff off with a big circular saw. That was a fun day. In my teens, I used to fly the RC aircraft, and one day my dad decided he was going to come help. Awesome, great time spending my time with my dad. Except he wasn't used to it, and he reached through the prop to adjust the mixture, which left him needing, I think it was 11 stitches. I just marked that part. Can you see? Zoom out. Just marred the edge of that part. If it annoys me, I'll reprint it, but it's small enough it probably will be unnoticeable. Maybe I should do that one. So those two, those four, that's already been done, and this one has already been done. So we are all up to date. There you go. You see the marring there. If it annoys me, like I said, I will reprint it. Place. So where are we at with this? Let's go back to the manual. I think we're up to date with the heat sets now. We'll worry about doing the effector later. Tensioners. Let's do the tensioners while we're hanging around. 1, 2, 3. They all appear to be the same. Oh, I remember these. I watch other people's streams. I had crocodile meat in Australia a long time ago. It tasted like salty chicken. Yeah, pretty much. So let's explain these parts because these aren't easy to handle. This is the part. This is the geometry of the part. We have to get a heat set into that hole and the other side from the inside without destroying the component. And then there's also a heat set that goes on the top here. Curse you, Canrog. Or are you going to blame this one squarely on Roller Ham? Don't worry, it won't be visible. At least that's something. Sorry, I'm just scanning through chat as I go. I'm convinced kids only have 70% control of their bodies at best. Sometimes the other 30% is still connected to their path from a drunk donkey. Now, for those of you who don't know, stacking layers is also a YouTuber. Please like and subscribe for him as well. Kenrog's perfect. There's so much going on in chess. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I got so many messages after the stream about 2 months ago when that douchebag came into chat, and I went full teacher on him. I gave him my full disappointed teacher voice. Oh, Brad, I'm not going to repeat that by voice. People will have to read that. Having to apply his own ointment is all people need to know. So the saving grace of these parts is that there's a small flange on the bottom of these T-nuts. Can't easily see it. A small flange on the bottom of the T-nuts that you can slide into the top of the opening. And if you can get it to sit, it kind of wedges it there. It's just getting it to sit in that spot in the first place. There we go. So it sits there. Now, on my iron, I'm just holding the iron. Well, the stealth press is holding the iron, and I'm just pressing the insert up against it. And I'm very slowly pressing on it laterally, slowly sliding into place. I'm not quite pushing it all the way home. And then I'm using the ruler to finish it off. I ever so slightly marred that one, but not sufficient to worry about. It's still going to be hidden away anyway. So I seem to have the best luck using the pliers to place these in, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just letting the brass on brass contact warm up the heat set. Brass, because of its material makeup, is very heat conductive. That didn't quite go in as flush as I'd like. I'm just going to warm it up a little bit more. And press. That's better. use a bolt through the heat sink while heating it. That's a good idea. I use one of these nice 130s. No, that's not going to work. There's too much of an interference. Just strip it out of the thread. The thread was a little bit of an interference fit. I fix that. No, missed. In some cultures, you're married. One of my wife's friends, her son is just starting his 3D printing journey, and my wife was like, you should give him your YouTube details so he can like and subscribe and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, he's 9. He's not ready for you guys. Now this is taking a lot longer because the screw's obviously wicking away some of the heat. It does give better control. I'm going to swap out the screws because that one's warm. And I don't want to burn my fingers. Not again, anyway. So again, I've just removed a little tiny bit of plastic from the inside of the part, all through the part, just to allow the screw to definitely slide. Because if the screw couldn't slide and everything was hot, it would just cause a huge mess. So just waiting for this to warm up. Trying not to mar the plastic while I'm doing it. Slowly sinking into place. Just pausing for a second right before the end, just to give it a little bit more heat. And now you guys probably saw me rock the part like this on the edge of the bench. The very edge of the plastic here had just started to lift because it had got so hot. So I just pushed it back into place. Then popping out the hot screw for a nice problem. Frankenbeans. Okay. I get that reference. It's probably too old a reference for many people. Okay, I know I've gone quiet and I should be dribbling on a little bit, so let's dribble on a little bit. Almost there, just going to give it a second pause, get it nice and warm, and then pull. And it's in place. So, should we do the effector while we're here? Because then we can get rid of the, we need to do the door handle too. So, that's the hole for the magnet, so that's the hole for the heat set. Yeah, show you guys. The big one is for the magnet, the small one's for the heat set. Can somebody please send me a DM on Discord reminding me to disable the hotspot auto zoom? Now, shall we do some magnets while we wait? That's possibly a good idea. You can at least do this door handle one. Now, I'm an idiot. I normally keep this super glue in the fridge. But last week after stream, I forgot to put it back. So it's gone a little bit crusty. And I put way too many drops of super glue in the hole. So the access to the bishop. How can we solve this? Let's wick it out. I like to use the really, really thin super glue for a lot of stuff. And that's what I've got here. And it has really good capillary action. So if I put some paper towel in it, it's going to soak into the paper towel super fast. And that's all the problem. And there's a final test with the ruler. And a quick clean off to make sure we don't get any white marks. There we go. So the door handle has its heat and its magnet. This is where we find out if they'll just screwed up. No, I got it right. Pure ass, no class. I'd have 50-50 chance and it does stick. So we're winning. I can see somebody just sent me a DM. Thank you guys. Okay, so let's just quickly check. It's only the effector we've got left to do the heat sets in, and then we'll do some more building. Put the lid on super glue. And I'll put that right on the end of my bench so I can't knock it over, and also so it reminds me to put it away again. So let's go back to Chrome. So we've just done this bit. Oh, we've got the top to put together as well, so we can do that at the same time. That's what we're looking at. We've just done the tensioners. So this is what we've just done. This is what we're about to do. Then there's the top, then there's the handle, then there's the hinges. We can do the hinges, so that's easy enough done. Okay. Now this part is going to need some care because it's thin and it's a bridge. So I'm just going to concentrate for a second while I do this. Swap to that one fill so everybody can see. They've got to have something to clip when I screw it up and have to reprint it. I keep telling you I've seen your baseball. Don't get that reference, sorry, mate. Oh. So on my other screen, I've got the heatset insert guide up on the screen. So I'm just going to quickly flick backwards and forwards a couple of times. So we are currently doing this one. Now, when I printed my Stealth Press, I read some comments about making sure that the top cover is printed with a texture, because it's got parts sliding around. But sometimes, because of this line here, if there's a sharp edge on a part, it just binds, which is what I was just trying to fix. So that's in. That's in. They don't have heat sets. All right. So now we're on the bottom part of the effector, which is this ring around the bottom. It would have been really nice if this was done as 2 individual photos. And more of these insert from the side heat sets. That's a much looser fit, so that's easier. Now, because the part geometry on this, I'm going to do them 2 at a time because I've got better access. In fact, I'm going to be able to set the whole part up. Oh, no, not quite. I can do 4 and then 2 by the looks of it. Again, this is just a very tight fit. I'm not going to be able to do it on that one. That one will work. Right, we can do 3, so that's still. I'm trying to work this so you guys can see better, but it's not easy. There we go. That might work better. Let's do it this way, then you guys can see sight on. You can just see it slowly sinking into the part. Sorry guys, getting it right is more important than you guys seeing 100%. I think that part, the bottom of the circle. Yeah. Over a number of heat cycles, these budget soldering lines slowly undo themselves. Come on, fill this dead air. Keep talking. There we go. Almost in place. Pausing just before the end to get it extra warm. And pull. Now this one you have to be a little bit more careful on. These are open top and bottom. You can see that. So that's easy. This one has a lip on it. Yes, for the fan duct. So I'm going to have to be even more careful that I don't do silly things. I just wound the screw in a couple more turns on the thread. Screw's getting very hard. Did I see something about an eating contest? Jury and speed eating contest. Okay. I can think of nothing I'd enjoy less. There's only 96 heat sets in this printer, easy peasy. I don't mind doing heat sets, it's just some of these suboptimal orientations. Now on this one, there's no way I can show you any better what I'm doing. I'm realizing now I'm probably going to have to reprint one of these parts on my stealth press in polycarbonate because it started to go a little bit soft. I think this is one of those times where stealth press isn't optimal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that down for a second because it's starting to burn my fingers. And I've just got my normal soldering iron off camera, and we'll drag that in and we'll use that to finish. Let's just, while we're doing that audit, we've got everything going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what we need. And that will overcome the thread issue as well. And there's looks like there's at least 3 going into there. Let's double check. Okay, let's go to here and have a moan. Whose silly idea was it to do this all as one part? It's 2 parts. Give us 2 diagrams. Because there's a heat set there and a heat set there. But there doesn't appear to be a heat set in that one. I'm only seeing 2 heat sets listed here. So I'm only seeing 1, 2, but it looks like there's a 3rd heat set hole in the part. So in the part, there appears to be another heat set hole right here. Kenrog, can you help? To me, heat set, heat set, heat set, but on the diagram there's only 2. I have a cheap knockoff press that does okay, but sometimes you. There's only 2 in the bottom of the effector. Okay. Then why does the part look like it's got 3? Because that's the same kind of hole as that hole. You are the expert. I'm going to trust you. I'm also going to turn this off before I burn myself. In. So much simpler for this particular purpose. That one I wasn't 100% happy with, so let's just warm it up a little bit. And a slight press, and much better. Same with this one. These parts just didn't sink all the way in nicely, so I'm just finishing them off with a soldering iron. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can't see properly what's going on my side camera. So I'm just hoping that this is nicely in shot. And that's in. The 2 holes next to the square hole ones for the heat sets, yeah. Oh, no, I get it. I understand better now. Yep. If we didn't have the top half of the effector in that diagram, it would have probably been a lot clearer sooner. I'm not bagging you out, man. I'm just, yeah. You can see why that would be frustrating. All right. Actually, I shouldn't turn it off yet. Got to do those last two. So let me just explain my confusion. I was interpreting these as heat set, completely ignoring these two. These are quite obviously for the screw heads to recess into, like that, or the other way up. What time is it? I'm going to go with the excuse that it's only 4:30 here. Now, there's no point in me trying to put this part down on the bottom of the heatset press because it wouldn't sit anyway because of the geometry on the other side. So I'm better off just doing it the silly way. So Penguin and any other people here who stream, just as a warning, that latest OBS update that came through like 2 days ago, it messes with DJI mics and it's not working. And also it seems to reactivate all the Optibot zooming. So you'll need to go into the Optibot app and deactivate it again. So that's all in place. They're all nice and flush. And for now at least, I think, oh, I may as well do the lid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do. I'm going to take the drawer out. I'm going to get rid of the press so I don't burn myself. And for this, I think we're going to do it the Kangaroo suggested method. Now there must be some sort of order to do this because that doesn't look as easy at first glance. So chrome. The lid. Let's orientate this. So that one. And that one. And that one. So that matches the diagram. And the heat set for that one goes in here. And as somebody said on one of the streams, it all fastens like a circle jerk. So back to the overhead. Now I'm finding, for those of you who decide to try the screw through the fitting method, that if you only wind it through about halfway, that's better because it doesn't suck so much of the heat out of the brass so fast. Now doing this on camera and showing you guys is a lot harder than it looks. So this fitting has gone in really wonky, and I'm just straightening it up. There we go. Just taking the screw out so there's no torsion force while it cools. Wonder. Which means the next part also goes that way. So I don't know if you can see, but you can't really make out the end of the screw because it's only wound in a couple of turns on the thread. Get rid of that one. I'm just trying to make this as easy and as simple as possible so I don't burn myself. I don't screw this up again. That's it. It's about halfway at this point. It's not working nicely. I've got it in place enough that it's not going to move, so I'm just going to take the screw out. Look at the side cam, people. Much easier. Done. There's a tiny bit of plastic in the thread, but I'll poke that out in a minute with the screw, which means bring that one back into shot. Now I found a good way to do it. I wasn't quite happy with how deep this had set. I'm going to fix it. There we go. And now for the final one. I'm just going to raw dog this one, I think. Is that a Gridfinity box? No, it's not. This is a mod from Printables for Stealth Press. Would I print that particular white tray again? No, because it's got square bottoms. Unlike Steve's trays, which have a nice fillet in here, so you can easily get things out of the corner. That's got square edges on the inside of it that I didn't spot before I printed. Now I do still have the files for it, so what I could do is remix it again myself and actually put the fillets in and then reprint. But you know, time, energy, effort, they're all lacking when you've got 2 small kids. Just not quite happy with the setup on this one, so I'm just doing it again. No disrespect to Zach Friedman, because obviously it's working for hundreds and hundreds of people, but Infinity is one of those community things that I think is just a huge waste of plastic. If it floats your boat, go for it, but I don't see the need to use all that plastic when it's not really necessary in a lot of cases, and it's usually a lot cheaper to go and buy another solution. I mean, these drawers over here, they cost about 13 or 14 US dollars. I couldn't print it for anything even remotely close to that value. Right, so that screws in, that's in place. There's a tiny bit of plastic in the those, just a side effect of the way it's done, I guess. Let's do the magnets while we're here. Let's be a bit more judicious with the super glue this time though. Drip, 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 mist, drip, drip. Grab the paper towel from the bin. Put it in the bin. I had a piece of paper towel. Here it is. Just to make sure we don't get any white marring that glue tends to do. 1. In and slide. 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 Right, do that paper towel away and actually need it. There we go. And there's 6 left. What would you know? So that should mean that we can easily do the equivalents in the top. But I'm not going to do this today. I'm going to do this next stream by these things because time is marching on. We've got about 30 minutes left. So where are we at? We've got all of the heat sets in as far as we can tell. There may be some more lurking. We'll find those as we go. Let's finish off with this pylon and then we can move on. Hopefully we can get the frame more or less together. Put the heat sets way in the middle of the desk so I can't drop them. So there. Let's put this together. We remember from earlier that these are M5 by 10. And these are actually a little easier to do because there's access top and bottom compared to the parts I printed in red. there. Okay. I still like off-the-shelf systems with printed enhancements. Yeah, it's like my sorting tray here, Mike. Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat. The white inserts in my sorter tray are inserts, so they actually come out. It was the best compromise I could come up with for what I had available. These sorting boxes are like $3 at the local, not supermarket, but I don't know of an equivalent in the US, but our version of Kmart, or what we call Kmart, they stock this kind of stuff. All right, so just lining up all of these hammerhead nuts. Turn it over. They were all turned just to make life difficult. Okay. First two T-nuts are in. Second two T-nuts are in. And I'm just aligning the end of the extrusion with the bottom of the part. Excuse me. I'm not going to show you the nuts the second time around. I did that earlier in the stream. My holidays must be up soon. School went back this week, but I'm on a substitute contract this year, so that means that they'll call me when they need me, which probably gives me 2 weeks or so of leeway before I start getting any significant work. But the schools I work with all pay very well on substitute contracts, so that means it doesn't matter financially too much, and I have far less responsibility. Now, I'm just wondering, do we do these magnets while we wait? I think we should. I'm just going to do something sensible for a change. I'm going to mark the very top of that stack with a little green mark, so I know which way to orientate them. And then we're going to get that super glue again. One. Now, if you're using the super thin super glue, I've just spotted a technique which seems to be working better. So let only half the drop come out of the nozzle, and then brush it against the very edge of the hole. And what that does is it just pops the surface tension so you don't get a hole. The hole doesn't fill up full of super glue. Now on these ones, I probably don't need super glue, to be honest. The fit is so good. I feel like it's how I'm going again, didn't I? For those of you who were wondering, that's what that's for. So that's pylon Z for C. Double checking my ink mark. Oh no. That's going to be some cleaning up later. There's a drop of super glue on the roller still, and there's a mark on my bench. It's going to irritate me now. Semi-retired, then chance to be a fine thing. There we go. So, magnets are in all the pylons. What haven't we done yet, though, guys? We haven't put these damn rails in. What time is it? We've got 20 minutes. We've got to do one rail at the very least, and then we can do the rest next week. Not as advanced as much as I thought we would or hoped we would. But that seems to be the story of most of the YouTubers who are doing this. So let's start with ooh, gritty. That's going to need a good wipe. Oh, look how marred that is. You see that? There's a big scrape in the rail. It feels smooth enough. So let's pull the stopper off that one. Let's put the part out of the way. Now, when you get the kit, guys, there's these little plastic inserts. Slide the carriage off onto the insert, giving you a chance to give the rail a really good clean up and wipe. Now I'm running my nail across it. There's nothing that I would worry about. That gives us a chance to very carefully now take the plastic insert out of the carriage and grease it. shown this off on stream before. I think it was Alan Mandic who started first promoting this kind of thing. It was about $6 or $7 US on AliExpress. And basically, you just press the plunger and it squeezes grease through. There we go. Don't need a huge amount of grease. And to be honest, you don't need to go out of your way to turn all the bearings around either. So let's turn this over and very slowly reinsert it. Basically, as long as you've got your thumb up against the end of it, the chance of you losing any of the balls out of the system is very small. He says as one of the balls looks like it slips out under the guard. Yep. There we go. Now, because I'd already got it full of grease, the ball wasn't going to run away on me anyway, so that's easy. And the ball from the other side came out this time. I might try and put the plastic insert in first. There we go. Might as well do it this way up if I've already got the insert in place. It's just a case of align them and done. And that already feels a million times better. Now on the larger scale rails, you can actually undo a screw on each side and then inject grease straight into the end of it. But that's only on usually on the MGN bolts and usually only on the high quality rail. I'm not saying these aren't high quality, I'm just saying you pay for what you get, and one of those things you actually pay extra for is the grease ports. So that's rail 1 done. Let's put the little stopper in the end so I don't do anything silly. John Doe retracted a message. Means either had a huge typo or he said something obscene. I'm going with obscene because it's John. Very carefully pulling that out. Now, rather than repeat all the issues of last time, I'm just going with the plastic insert first off. Flip it over. And on. No lost bearings. Nice. And rail 3. That's why you do the grease through the hole method. I mean, they all work, but this just allows you to use a lot less grease and make a lot less mess. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned that I am keeping track. The carriages are put on a certain way around, and it's better to always put them back the same way around if you can. Sometimes it affects something called preload. So when the bearings are put into the carriage, they're designed to have a certain amount of tension against the rail. And this preload, the higher the preload, the more tension there is against the inside of the rail. And that preload can be affected by which way around the carriage is. So on this particular rail, dot is here, so we know that this is always going to be over there. And on this one, the numbers are facing me. So I know when I put it back, I need to have the numbers facing me. So rotating that again. Numbers facing me, so that's the right way around. A little bit of grease has been pressed on the end of the wheels as I put the balls as I put that in. So I'm just going to put that in the groove because no point wasting it. There we go. Come it backwards and forwards a few times, spread the grease around, and done. Let's just get rid of that grease. Put the stopper in the end again. When I see Brad talking about his lawyer, I know he's talking about one of his many, many divorces. Right, so all the rails are done. Let's grab this one and go to Chrome. Right. 5 M3x8s and T-nuts. 6, 8. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get rid of the grease before I spread it somewhere. Associated M3 T-nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, do we have an odd number or an even number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have an odd number, which is good. Why good? Because it means we can equally space the T-nuts. I'm going to put the stopper there because we're not going to use that hole. So the bishop's the ups. I hadn't put it on enough turns and it just fell off the end of the screw. There we go. So we're now going to put one in the middle. Our repo's here. Dude, the stream's almost over. What kind of support for a friend do you call this? But seeing as you are here, everybody like and subscribe, RJ. He's not a bad dude for somebody from Florida. Now, Kenrock, I know you've obviously been talking to Rollerhan about this sort of stuff. Where do you stand on the whole spacing between screws thing? Do you do it every other? Do you do it every other hole? Do you do? I mean, obviously, this design doesn't use every other hole. And do you believe in tightening from the inside out, or don't you care? Now, when I did the printing, I didn't see any alignment jigs. So I'm going to just eyeball this. Not that it matters so much on a delta, but I'm going to tighten the center one just enough to be tensioned. And then I'm going to eyeball the alignment there and there. And I'm going to just pinch this up. Who streams while Repo is sleeping? Dude, you're sleeping in the middle of the day. I'm up at 3 a.m. for you guys, and you're sleeping in the middle of your day. Now, my carefully calibrated eyeball says that that's pretty good. So, in the lack of some printed jigs, actually, I think I've got some those jigs in a box. 1 second. They're going to be for MGN 9s and these are MGN 7s. That can work. So, in principle, when you're dealing with these kind of rails, just like a cylinder head on a car, there should be a certain amount of tightening order and tightening from the center out. So what that does is, if you were to tighten from the outside in, if there was a very slight bow in the rail or the extrusion, as you clamp them together at the outside and then you try and clamp inwards, you'll end up with a lot of stresses involved. Whereas if you start at the middle and work outwards, you don't accumulate stresses. So always tightening from the middle outwards makes a lot of sense, because the stresses get worked out as you go. I'm not doing this particularly tight anyway, so this shouldn't be that much in the way of stress. But we are going to be heat cycling this thing, obviously, when we warm up the bed and the nozzle. So, there. RJ's on Australian time. Yeah, that'd be fair. Just about waking up at West Australia 5 a.m. So, that was good Australian. Let's put it over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am really surprised we haven't had a visit from my little guy, although he was exhausted last night. Stops the stopper. 2, 1, in. Hector's going to ban you one of these days. For those of you who don't know, every time RJ turns up at Fabrico, mysterious incendiary things happen. I mean, I guess it helps because it starts the fire sales like Penguin's just saying, but 1, 2. 1 for the middle. Now on that one. Now, I did get a suggestion from somebody. I won't name who they are because it would probably lead to death threats. Who was like, dude, when you do the rails, you should have one rail where you deliberately leave out a screw or you don't do the spacing the same. And while I do enjoy a little bit of malicious sadism, I'm not that bad. Now, like I said, on the last rail, I'm just pinching it. Just enough to hold it in place. There's no real tension. While I make sure that the alignment's good. Love the comment for me in your Discord, or Repo gets blamed for everything. Oh, the Repo has been on at me since he started streaming to have a section in my Discord where he can spam the fact that he's going to be streaming. Nobody else has cared, and I figured I wasn't a big enough channel that people would be coming to my Discord and not his already. So that's all in place and done. But because he moaned and bitched and complained so often, I got my act together and I created a section in my Discord for anybody who's a streamer who wants to announce they've got a stream coming out, or stacking, if you want to announce one of your new videos, there, go for it. Then, yeah, there's a section now in my Discord for posting that you've got a new YouTube video coming out. Right, last 5. Swap that to there. I set Fighter Down Under to have a self-promotion section. This screw doesn't look like it's been quite machined properly at the end. So try one more time. Nope, that one's going in the sin bin. There's a little bit of swap on that side of that patina. I'm picturing Beavis and Butthead saying fire. Fire! Fire! Burn! Fire! I used to be better at doing Beavis. And it was 2 out from the middle. Okay. Now, hopefully, we have a perfect view to like ratio going on at the moment, or even better likes, because I think a few people have come through and left again. So if you haven't already done your likes, do so. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. "20 years ago, we were all good at Beavis." Kenrog, if you're still here, suggestion for you if this potentially works. Maybe you could actually build the alignment into the plastic part. I'm not sure of the logistics and whether it would be 100% possible, but maybe you could have it so there's a little tab allowing the end plastic parts to align the rails. So they're just ever so slightly pinched while I do the alignment again. Carefully calibrated eyeballs. And then tighten down the middle. And work my way out to the end. Didn't really work. I didn't see an alignment clip in the tools section of the CAD. Maybe I missed it. Or the STLs, I mean. So that's complex. So the one thing we need to do is play catch up with on the exterior panels. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on this pylon, they're all the same, but I just need to verify which screws it was again. Panel covers are M5 by 10. That's 4, that's 3, that's 7, that makes it 8. And a whole bunch more T-nuts. There's not one in the files. There are a lot of them on STL sites. But now, if you were watching last stream, you know there's a really good idea to not tighten these all the way up all at once, because you just want to finesse them a little bit to get the alignment so that you don't end up with Tesla panel gaps. Now, just showing you what I mean by that. You want it so it's a nice straight line down there if you can, and on the back if it works. It's ever so slightly a different amount of shrinkage. That's close enough. Oh, bye, Stacking. Catch you later. I read that right. For those of you who haven't already, please subscribe to Stacking. He's a good guy. Water was cold, there was shrinkage, I mentioned. I think I posted a meme along those lines on my Discord. Like, the first step is never the hardest, it's the third step, just before you get to the crutch. Speaking of, I don't think my bot's been working this stream. Restart it, just so it gets spammed the Discord link at least once. The Discord link is in the description of the video and all that sort of stuff usually. So, and it's definitely on my YouTube profile. So spacing's good enough. Yep. How do you shrink something, Zilly? No, I'm not going to go there. So again, just finessing these gaps to make them as minimal as possible. Go there. No, I'm not going to go there. Just like you wouldn't go there on your streams, Penguin. Right. Done. Rails all nicely in place. It's making smooth noises. We've managed to get the grub screws in and put the motors back on. All the heat sets are in place. Time is 5:30 in Western Australia, so this is one of the longest streams I've managed to get done. I think it's probably time that we recognize that discretion is the better part of valor and call it at this point. So next week it will be putting all three sides together, doing all the wiring, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the software. This took a lot longer than I was expecting, but you get that. And hopefully, if we don't finish it and get printing next week, it'll be the week after, which will very nicely, hopefully, lead us to getting very prepped for Index. A quick update on where I'm going to be going with the Index. Everybody hopefully knows that I've got a Founders Edition pre-order. The pre-orders, we haven't yet received our invoice emails, so as soon as that comes out, I'm sure the interwebs will be buzzing with it. Oh, bye, Rod. When the pre-orders invoices come out, I'm sure the internet will be buzzing, and it will all be very much obvious to everybody that what's going on. I'm going to go with the 8-head Core 1 version, and we're going to chuck it all on the Core 1. I was originally planning on maybe doing the Voron, but I realized I do so much beta testing on the Voron. I don't want my Index to be offline all the time. And also, it's going to limit how much testing I can do in some respects. So the Voron is going to be kept Voron-y, for lack of a better way of putting it, so I can keep doing beta testing with it. And the Core 1 is going to get the sitting over my shoulder here, is going to be getting the Index with 8 heads and all the paraphernalia. So that will be that part of the journey for us. As I mentioned to Nomad on the Bontech Discord, maybe we'll finally be able to print it the right way up, because I won the Core 1 on a Nomad's Galaxy stream, the guy who designed Positron and Proton, and he likes to have his printers upside down. And we joked when I won it that I'd have to print with the Core 1 upside down, except the load cell doesn't like it and it gets all wonky and doesn't, it's a whole thing. So what we're going to do is once the Index is on it, we're going to give that a try too, just for giggles, see if that works. Whether I'll do that on a stream or just on the Discord, I don't know yet, but we'll definitely give it a try. So from here, next week, we're going to continue with the build of Delta Flyer, and hopefully everybody will be able to join us again. I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under Maker. It's time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys.